Sal Paolantonio, ESPN NFL national reporter. He's been with the Eagles all this week and will give us some more insight on what the mood is at the NovaCare Complex. It's the first playoff game in Philly since 2013 loss to the Saints. They haven't won a game in Philly since 2006. Jeff Garcia was the leader of that team. They'll have to do it again, Sal, with a backup quarterback. And I thought you asked some very interesting questions to Doug Pederson yesterday about whether or not the team is over the shock of Carson Wentz not being the guy who will take snaps on Saturday. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Mike. What about his answer intrigued you? Because I want to see if we're on the same page.
I thought that the fact that he kind of admitted that, yes, when you lose your starting quarterback, that it does take a little while to get over. But I thought it was interesting because the first game after, they won that game and looked pretty good offensively.
Right. So, yeah, from his answers, you could get the sense that it's still a work in progress, right?
Yep. It was almost as if the initial shock is just now kind of settling in that we're going to play a playoff game at 13-3 and Carson Wentz is not going to be our quarterback.
Yeah, because right after the game, Malcolm Jenkins went on this rant, if you remember. I reported it, and I had it on my Instagram, Sal Pal ESPN. On Instagram. And, in fact, we have an instant analysis, me and Lou Riddick and Greg Cosell on the game on Instagram right now. And, right after the game is like, we're more than just Carson Wentz, and we're moving on. And then they played well against the Giants, specifically Foles. But then, it was a disaster on Christmas night against the Raiders. I think part of it, Mike, is this. When they line up tomorrow, it'll be 3 hours short of 18 days that they haven't played meaningful football. And so there's been a natural ebb and flow to motivation, enthusiasm, preparation, anticipation, nervousness, all of those things. And you factor in that the game against Oakland, Foles looked bad. The game against Dallas, the whole team just could not generate anything. And the fact that everybody has been talking bad about them and they've tried to circle the wagons, then they come out as underdogs, first underdog, number one seed against the wild card ever. All of that has made a rather sticky brew. And they're trying to figure out where they fit. And I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I'll say this: I've covered 400 playoff games in my career, maybe, including 24 Super Bowls. I've never seen a game that could be determined like this by one player in one quarter of play. If Foles comes out and just is flat or unsure of himself, and they can't generate anything, and the team gets down 10-0, the game will be over. It'll be over. They won't be able to come back.
Now we didn't talk last Friday because of the holidays and everything. But do you think there was a lot to be gained by Nick playing against Dallas?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to me, now he didn't play well, and now you go 2 weeks of that memory of him not playing well. And if he did play well, then it was, well, that was 2 weeks ago. How is he going to carry that over from 2 weeks ago? So I don't know what they had to really gain by playing him and then yanking him.
No, we're in agreement 1,000%. For the reasons that you just stated. The team was lethargic. Ajayi wasn't out there. A lot of the starters were going through the motions. It was brutally cold. All you did was succeed in doing was creating more doubt.
Yeah. You asked Doug how confident he was that the team has moved on from Carson Wentz. Did you feel confident in his answer that they have put that behind them and it is in the rear view?
They say that they are confident that the shock is over. But we got to keep it real, right, Mike?
Always.
Yeah. So my answer to you is no way we know until Saturday night. If all they got to do is win the game, honestly, Mike, Foles doesn't have to play lights out. We don't need 4 touchdown passes from Foles. All we need is competency. Because if you get competency and you get a few points and you're not down early, then that's going to build confidence in everybody. The crowd, the coaching staff, the sideline, the other players. It'll feed on. I'm telling you, I've never seen a game that comes down to like this. Yeah. One player in one quarter of play.
And I hope the crowd is good because Christmas night, not so good. Dallas game, not good at all. I hope they have their energy because those 2 games were cold and really didn't have a lot of juice behind them. So I hope the crowd is a factor.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, the crowd's psychology will be determined by Foles, not the other way around.
And, Sal, it'll be determined by if they can get off to that fast start. And I know seeing you on SportsCenter and NFL Live, you said you had the private conversation with Doug and really pressed him on whether or not they realize how they need to get off to that fast start.
You know, Mike, it was funny because during his press conference, this was yesterday, Thursday, he was asked about the layoff and whether he had to talk to the team about starting fast. And he said he didn't talk to the team. And I was skeptical. So I went and waited for him to come out of the NovaCare facility before he jumped in Big Dom's big sedan to go over to the link. And I'm there by myself. I'm on the sidewalk. You know, good reporting sometimes is just being in the right place at the right time. And I said, Doug, you talked to the team about this, right? Because this is vital. He goes, yeah, I talked to him about it, of course. He said, I told him not only do we have to start fast early and play fast, but we have to play fast early. We got to come out and show energy and speed early. I said, you mean because of what happened in L.A.? He goes, absolutely. Mm. You know, the Rams got steamrolled by the Falcons. They got rolled up. They got mugged. They got absolutely rolled up. Falcons came out there, those 2 turnovers. Now, Mike, let's also not forget, the Falcons are not – all right, listen. The Falcons were a wild card for a reason, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Slow start.
Yes. And their offense is, is not what it was last year. So there's 2 things about the Falcons. You got 3 things you got to remember coming in. 1, the Rams gifted them 3 quarters of the field, not once, but twice in the first quarter of that game.
Special teams turnovers.
Twice.
Yeah.
Like, first and 10 at the 17, first and 10 at the 32. And if you remember the first time, first and 10 at the 17, the Falcons did not get a touchdown. They got a field goal.
Yeah.
They got 13 points out of two special teams turnovers on the wrong side of the field. So 13 points. That's all they got. Nevertheless, they were gifted 3 quarters of the field. 2, it's not the same offense. 3, though, it's definitely a better defense. They're giving up 16.9 points a game. Let's round up and call it 17 points per game in the last 7 weeks. Best in the league, the NFL during that time span. And I had a conversation with Dan Quinn before they jumped on the team buses and left the facility to go to the airport to come here this afternoon. I was on the phone with him while he was actually on the team bus. And we were talking, and I said, what's been the difference? And he said, when we lost to Carolina, we went back to the drawing board. And we decided to increase our awareness on communication and tackling. He said, I put them in pads. They wanted to go into pads. And, we just decided to make a point of emphasis, communication and tackling after losing to Carolina. So I thought that was, a team that, listen, they still had the hangover from the Super Bowl loss, no question, right? So it's pretty interesting. Both of these teams deserve psychoanalysis, but one team is playing with a level of speed on defense that is sort of an outlier right now, and that's the Falcons.
Sal Pal's with us, Sal Paolantonio, and, of course, check him out on Instagram, Sal Pal ESPN, for his instant analysis of this game. When I talked to some of the people in Atlanta this week getting ready, the name they bring up that the players are bringing up is Jay Ajayi. They faced him this year. He ran for a 130. He's the only guy to get 100 until Gurley did last week. Are you confident, or have you got any hint that Doug Pederson recognizes that Jay Ajayi is his guy, or is it more of, hey, we're going to go with all four?
I think it will be situational. Ajayi beat them up pretty good, but that was before they were a better team.
Yeah. Game 5 or something, 4 or 5, somewhere like that?
Yeah, it's a different team. Different team, Mike. I think it's a LeGarrette Blount game. They're a smaller front. If I'm them, I'm riding the right side of the Eagles' offensive line. I'm riding Kelsey. I'm riding Lane Johnson. I'm riding the right side of the line.
Brooks.
The Eagles have got two Pro Bowlers on their own line.
Yeah.
Ride the line and hammer them with LeGarrette Blount.
I know there's a lot of listeners out there listening to you right now who are saying, amen, Sal. They want to see him. I've had the calls this week. They got to run it 30, 35 times.
And it doesn't matter if it's 2.3, 3.4.
Agree.
Dick Vermeil taught me a very important statistic. Go through it, game by game. Game by game, go through it. Add the number of rushes plus the number of completions. If you have more rushes plus completions than the other team, you win well over 90% of the time. Well over 90%. It's not even close. That's the first thing I look at when I analyze a matchup. Now, the only way it doesn't work is if there's turnovers. Yeah. Especially in the postseason.
And as these quarterbacks get better, it's hard to get turnovers.
Yep. But listen, look what happened in the Super Bowl last year. Brady had a pick 6 against the Falcons. Yeah. Still won the game. That's nearly impossible to do. And I'll tell you what's impossible to do. The only coach who can do this is Andy Reid. Be +2 in the turnovers and up 21-3 at home and still lose.
That's unbelievable. My father and I just had lunch.
It's not Mike. It's Mike. Come on, Mike. It's unbelievable in capital letters with exclamation points, Mike.
My father and I just had lunch, and we're having this conversation. If I were to tell you your coach is going to win about 65 to 70% of his games, you'd sign up for that every day of the week. But if I told you you're not going to win the Super Bowl with this guy, that's a tough pill to swallow, to win that many games and not – does he just not have that gene? Does he not have the it gene? What is it?
He lost his last 2 home games in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, they haven't won a home game. He hasn't won a playoff game since
Andy Reid.
Right, I'm saying Andy hasn't won a playoff game since what? 2008?
So he's under 500 in the playoffs.
Yeah,
he's Chuck Knox.
Oh, Fletcher Cox got paid a lot of money. He's got a nice matchup. Donald smoked Garland last week. If the Eagles win up front on defense, do they win the game?
Yeah, that's one of the things that Quinn told me. Quinn said, I said, what's going to be – I'm going to give you a little preview of what I'm doing tomorrow morning. I shouldn't do this, but I like your show and I like you.
Matchup show, guys. Matchup show tomorrow morning.
Yeah. I'm talking about SportsCenter, bro.
All right.
I'm talking about the big dog tomorrow morning. I talked to Quinn, and I said to him, what's your final talking point going to be to the team tomorrow morning? And he said, this is a line of scrimmage game, boys. They got 3 Pro Bowlers on the line of scrimmage, 2 on offense, 1 on defense. We don't win the line of scrimmage, we're going home a loser.
Should be a great atmosphere tomorrow. Sal Powell will be there. ESPN, of course. The Eagles and the Falcons. Sal, give us your pick. Who you leaning right now?
Leaning Birds, the good guys, the Green Birds.
No dirty birds here.
I take the under on the over/under. I think it's 44, right, boss?
Right around there. Depends on which building you're calling.
Yeah, I think here's around 44. So I'm taking the under, and I'm taking the points, obviously. And I'm going Eagles 19, Falcons 16.
19-16. Sal Paolantonio, powered by Dunkin' Donuts. Fuel up on Eagles game day with $1 medium coffee.
Hey, listen, that's what I'll be doing. You know what I do on game day? Here's what I do on game day.
What is the itinerary for Sal Pal tomorrow?
I leave the Sal Pal Hacienda at dark 30. I get in my car, and I go to this is a true story, every single time. And you can check it out. I go to the Dunkin' Donuts on 130 right by the Betsy Ross Bridge. I stop there, and I get 4 boxes of donuts and a medium coffee for myself. And I bring 2 boxes to the security guards at the gate who let me park in the players' lot. Then I give another box to the security guards inside by the locker room, and then I have 1 box for me and my crew on the field.
I love it. What time does this occur so that we can flood the Dunkin' Donuts on 130 by the Betsy Ross?
No way, baby. I'll be there tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning I'll be there at 6:30 in the morning.
Okay. And by the way, Pete, you don't have to transcribe all that part. Sal Paolantonio, an Eagle victory, gets you $1 coffee the day after Eagles win. Sal, take care, my friend. We'll talk again next week.
You're the best, Mike.